Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of What in the World is Happening, the show where we talk about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom. I'm Sabina Qureshi, broadcasting from Edmonton, Canada, and with me today is Dick Larson in Los Angeles, USA. Hi, Dick.
Hi, Sabina. Thank you for having me on.
It's great to have you here. We always have a very good time when you're on the show. We broadcast live every Saturday on Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And at the end of each show, we do a meditation for 30 minutes called Transmission. It's a group meditation, free and very potent, and it's open to anybody over the age of 12. And we hope you'll stick around and join us. You might really like it. Today's topic is miracles, signs of the times, modern day miracles. And we have a whole raft of miracles to talk about and show you, things that you may have heard about in the news or you may not. Because as you were pointing out, Dick, a lot of these don't make it into the mainstream media.
That's right. The media doesn't know what to do with them, but some of them do hit the media, and we've been kind of keeping track of the ones that have and that people might know about or can do a little research on.
That's right. And so back in, I think this was in the 90s, Time Magazine actually did a reporting period about miracles. And they actually titled it, We Are Living in an Age of Miracles, because there were so many. And it was really obvious that something was happening, something was afoot. And I just want to mention this, and this is from the year 2000. The LA Times had an article, Most Believe in Miracles, poll finds. So they had done a poll, and according to this poll, which was conducted for Newsweek magazine at the time, the vast majority of Americans believe that God performs miracles. 84% of Americans said God performs miracles. 77% said they believe God or the saints heal or cure sick people who doctors said have no chance of survival. And a 79% majority said they believe the miracles detailed in the Bible actually occurred. And nearly half said they had actually experienced or seen a miracle. And well, that just tells you right there, miracles are not something that most people think only happened way back when, or maybe are just myths.
To me, that's the most convincing one, is that 50% of the people that responded said they had personally experienced a miracle. And so, I mean, that's evidence that there's something really wonderful going on that we're not sure what it's all about. But we're going to tell you what it's about, at least what we think it's about today. And you mentioned Time Magazine talking about miracles, and Newsweek magazine as well. They had on the cover of their magazine, about the same time as Time Magazine, they had a big headline, "Do you believe in miracles?" And they had a huge article with all kinds of photos of unexplained happenings that we call miracles. And then Time Magazine, here's a nice quote from Time Magazine: "The past few years have been an age of miracles. Unimaginable events have succeeded one another as if the Creator had whistled up a new world." I love that. It's a very optimistic quote, and in our experience, a very true quote.
Yeah, it's something that, well, we're seeing. We've talked on this show a lot about what's happening out in the world, the signs of change. But today, focusing on miracles, we're also going to say that these miracles and the frequency with which they're occurring and being noticed are also signs of a change.
Absolutely. We're entering a new age that we're going to talk about, and it's a real thing. It's not the fiction astrology in newspapers, and we're going to talk about that. But let's just take a review very quickly of what's been going on here. The 20th and 21st centuries, we've had tremendous advances, especially in the digital world. I mean, things are changing faster than you can keep up right now, but we have had tons of advancements scientifically and otherwise in the 20th and 21st century. Yeah, but we still have tons of problems as well. There's a nice list there. Poverty and starvation still plague the world. and the United States, the wealthiest country in the world. Homelessness, huge in the US and across the world. We can't seem to stop war, and terrorists don't seem to stop causing chaos. And pollution has been getting a lot of headlines lately, but we haven't done enough about it. But pollution, we're polluting the air, the land, and the seas in an unprecedented amount. And it's causing problems for humanity and the rest of the kingdoms on the planet.
Yeah, it's something that everyone's aware of. And I think that the consciousness that people have is much greater these days of what the problems are. And there's a sense of a global and in many ways united front wanting to deal with these. And really more and more people are saying to politicians, you're dragging your heels because these things need to be dealt with, right? And we've seen that also with the pandemic. People are calling for an international response to make sure that everybody gets vaccinated. And well, we're just seeing that politicians are dragging their heels, right? That really seems to be what happens these days.
Right. You know, this pandemic is unique in that it has had a worldwide impact. Nobody can escape this. Don't care how much money you have, how much education you have or don't have. It makes how old you are. It doesn't make any difference. The pandemic can affect every single person on the planet with illness and more deaths than we want to even think about. And of course, with people staying home, it's caused tremendous high unemployment because a lot of businesses have closed. They're slowly starting to open up in some countries, but the unemployment rates have shot through the roof. And there's just no social interaction like there was, except for electronic interaction, which of course isn't the same as person to person. So the pandemic is another one of those big problems that we've still got going on.
And I just want to briefly say hello. We've got Bob Jordan listening in St. Louis, Jane Chappell in Hesperia, California, welcome. And Christian, Sylvia, and Yvonne, glad to have you here. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Now, we've painted a pretty bleak picture, and that's what we wanted to show you because it's true. But now for some of the good news.
Yes, well, we want to talk about the wilderness experience, right?
Yes. Now, this is bad news and good news combined. But
right.
What is a modern day wilderness experience? It's what we're going through, for sure. I think the next slide might show some specifics about that.
Okay, here we are.
Oh, Benjamin Creme, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Well, we'll talk more about the wilderness experience. Where do we get our information? That's a very important thing to start out with. It comes from a man named Benjamin Creme, who lived in London and traveled around the world for about 40 years, giving out some of the information we're going to give out today.
And I guess, you know, when we talk about the wilderness experience, we know about that through Benjamin Creme as well. And so as he went around the world talking about Maitreya, about the Masters of Wisdom, the wealth of information that he gave out on so many different aspects of what we call the Ageless Wisdom really took in all the questions that people had and all the questions that you could have about, you know, what's going on in the world, why is the situation like this in this part of the world or in that part of the world. And so one of the things he talked about was the wilderness experience.
Sure. And the Ageless Wisdom, by the way, if you're not familiar with it, the Ageless Wisdom is an ancient living philosophy. It's a philosophy as old as humanity that periodically has been revealed over the ages, over the eons, when humanity is ready to accept it and possibly learn from it. And the latest two revealers of the Ageless Wisdom were a woman named Alice A. Bailey, who wrote about 20 books in the 1930s and 40s, some of which are very difficult to read, but there are a couple that are okay. And Benjamin Creme. I didn't mean to say her books weren't okay. I meant to say that are okay to read for the average person. Benjamin Creme's books, he has 17 books on Amazon. We're not here to sell books, but you should know about them in case you want to inspect further. You can find his books. Now, he brings the Ageless Wisdom up to date to our current times and addresses some of the issues. People always ask me, well, where does Benjamin Creme get his information? It's a good question. Benjamin Creme was taught how to be in contact with one of the masters of wisdom. These are senior members of our spiritual kingdom, people who have gone through evolution like us, ahead of us, become perfected human beings, and they didn't need a body anymore, so they became permanent consciousness, permanent spirits, whatever you want to call them. They have many names: the Lords of Compassion, the Masters of the Wisdom, the spiritual hierarchy. One of these great beings was in touch with Benjamin Creme and taught him how to communicate with the master. And that's where he got his information, was directly from one of the masters of our spiritual kingdom. So he's the source for most of our information. And we knew Benjamin Creme, met him many times. Like I said, he traveled the world for almost 40 years, giving out this wonderful information with no pay. Did it strictly as a volunteer effort, stayed in people's homes when he traveled. Yeah, wonderful guy.
And so to go back to the wilderness experience, what that refers to is the kind of disorientation, or what happens when you're going through a transition from one kind of status quo to another, as things break down and kind of fall apart. And that's what we're seeing around us a lot. And we talk about that in terms of the change of ages, from Pisces to Aquarius. But part of what happens in this change is an experience that's called the wilderness experience, where there's a feeling of loss, a feeling of uncertainty, not knowing what's happening, disorientation. It's a crisis, basically. But as we all know, crisis also is the opportunity for change, because when things fall apart and break down, you have to start building something new. And so you also have the opportunity to build something better, something different.
And when so many people are in so much pain from lack of income, from lack of health care, from all the issues that have been coming up through this pandemic and this wilderness experience for our planet, when that many people are hurting, it starts to awaken the heart in people. And people start wanting to help other people who are hurting worse than they are. And we've seen that happen in most countries around the world during this pandemic. We've seen people reaching out to help, and not only to help with the pandemic, but also to help with some of the other issues, the ongoing issues we've talked about. People are stepping up now to help the homeless more. People are stepping up to help the hungry, those who haven't been eating. You know, about every 9 seconds, someone on this planet dies of starvation or a nutrition-related illness, and mostly children, about every 9 seconds. I mean, that is still going on. And we have a 12% surplus of food in the world per capita. The food is not getting distributed. In the Western countries, it's sitting in the storage bins and the grain bins until we get the right price for it. And if we don't get the right price, it rots. Well, that's got to end. We need to start distributing this food. The food is there. And the plans are being made to do that. And the time will be right soon. We'll talk about when the timing is right. But people's hearts open up during catastrophes like a wilderness experience. And like you said, Sabina, people look at the problems and they start coming up with solutions. Well, solutions means change. And a lot of people are resistant to change. But change is happening. It's got to happen. And one of the reasons is because we're entering a new energetic age. And when I say a new age, it sounds like I said, the entertainment and newspapers. It's not. It's astronomy. If you go to an observatory and talk to an astronomer, they call it the precession of the equinox. It's the same thing. From time to time, our planet comes into alignment with one of the 12 constellations that surround our solar system. huge, huge heavenly bodies with tremendous energy. And when we're in alignment with one of those, we come into alignment one at a time, and we're in alignment for about 2,250 years. They're not spaced perfectly equally apart. When we're in alignment with one of those constellations, we say we are in the age of whatever that constellation is. And for the last 2,000 years, we've been in alignment with and in the age of Pisces and receiving Piscean energy. And if you look at this slide on your screen, you can see some of the energies of Pisces. Individuality, man has come out of the herd in the last 2,000 years. Dedication to an ideal, it was dedication to the ideal of freedom that saved the world in World War II. Now the energies of Pisces started to recede in about 1625. And so what's happened is every institution that we have was built with Piscean energy. And that Piscean energy is disappearing. And so these institutions are crystallizing and not serving humanity well anymore. Institutions like healthcare, government, you can go right down the line, education, they're not serving humanity like they were. They need to be rebuilt based on the new energies, because in 1675, we started receiving the energies of Aquarius, and those are quite different, aren't they, Sabina?
Well, and I would say that the institutions that are collapsing because they're no longer being nourished by that energy of Pisces, well, some of them did serve humanity, but many of them didn't. For example, healthcare. And that's simply because the age of Pisces did not stimulate our sense of group or cooperation in the same way that these new energies of Aquarius do. And so I think for many people, it's a welcome change. I mean, we need to replace what we had with something else. And that's more and more clear. So yeah, these new energies that are incoming, excuse me, the energies of Aquarius, they stimulate our sense of connectedness with each other, our sense of wanting to make sure that the group is being served, not just our individual self, and that we want to put our individuality to work for the benefit of that larger group. So it's a different sense of self, really.
It is. So cooperation is one of the hallmarks of the new age, working together, taking those powerful individuals that were developed under Pisces and now having them serve the group for the good of the whole, cooperating, synthesis, working towards justice and peace, and sharing the resources of the world, nations sharing their excess production with nations that need it, and so on. Those are the plans that are being developed now. And the Aquarian energies support group action, not individuals. The powerful individual rulers, their time is over. They don't know it yet, but their time is over. And what's coming is the group. Humanity is going to be running the world now. And these politicians, if they don't do what we like, we'll vote them out. And so right. Group action is supported by Aquarian energy. That's why people marching in the streets could save healthcare in America. And they did. Marching in the streets is one of the most powerful things you can do because these huge Aquarian energies support group action.
That's right. And when you march in the streets, what politicians see is, oh, that's the way the wind is blowing. That's where public and powerful support is. So yes. I better start espousing those policies. Yeah, that's yep. right.
Well said.
And so we want to talk about something, well, the miracles that we've been mentioning, which we feel are also part of this great change between one age and another. They're like signs of the fact that things are afoot, that it's a new time and we can expect change and we can expect really a different reality in a way, which might sound extreme, but that's how we see it. And that's what the Ageless Wisdom talks about as well. I also think that if you look out into the news, you do see people asking for a new reality. So it's not as far-fetched as it might sound.
Yeah, a lot of people are ready for change. Over the last 4 decades, signs and unexplained wonders indicate hope for all faiths and cultures. And they're not just religious miracles, they're non-religious too. they're for everybody. And our information from the Ageless Wisdom is that the purpose of these miracles, unexplained events that we call modern day miracles, the purpose of them is to give us hope, to let us know that we haven't been abandoned by our higher powers, but that we are being watched over and that we will be given guidance to help change the things that aren't working, which is most everything right now. And so we want to talk about some of these signs of hope.
So the first things we're going to talk about are recent miracles, including healing water springs, which have been discovered in Mexico, in Germany, in Russia, in India. I think the first place they were discovered was in Mexico. And this was because of a dog, actually, right? Dick, can you tell the story about that?
Sure. In Tlacote, Mexico, a little town outside of Mexico City, a little town there, a rancher named Shaheen, a wealthy rancher, had a lot of land there, and he had a sick dog, and he noticed water coming up out of the ground like a natural spring. And the dog went over and drank some of the water for a couple of days in a row, and the dog got well. And he thought, so he gave it to some of his other sick animals. They got well. Then he got permission from the Mexican government to give it to people in the local hospital, and most of them got healed. And so then he received permission from Mexico they would give him some money and combine it with his own money to drill for this water and create these huge $1 million storage tanks so he can hand out the water free of charge to anybody who came to his ranch. And boy, did they come. The lines were like a mile long of people holding their plastic container so that they could get some healing water to take home. Before they did that, they had to see the nurses and the technicians and say who they were getting it for, what their illness was, and so on, give contact information, then they could get the water. Well, then they followed up. Shaheen's people on the ranch followed up with these people to see what had happened. And that's when they recorded all of these healings, everything from cancer to AIDS to arthritis to you name it. They were getting healed. And he ultimately ended up getting an award from the United Nations for, I've seen the award from the United Nations for providing this healing water free of charge to so many people. Now he has passed away and his children have finally closed the ranch, but that water was sent to one of the greatest homeopathic pharmacies in the world, Ainsworth's Pharmacy in London, England. And Ainsworth's Pharmacy, you can order online, you can order Tlacote, Tlacote, Tlacote water tablets from Ainsworth's Pharmacy in different strengths. And they'll come right to you. I mean, I take one every day. So just to keep up the health. The only difference they could find, they've studied this water, like the one in Germany that came up under a restaurant. They've studied the water, and the only difference scientists can find is that it's just a little bit lighter in weight than regular water.
It's molecular weight.
Yeah. Benjamin Creme and his master tell us that water has been blessed. And that's why it is so potent. You may have heard of the healing water in Lourdes, France. Well, this is much more powerful healing than the water in Lourdes. And now there's one in Russia that is even said to heal alcoholism. There's one in India. The one in India comes out into a big concrete base that people can bathe in as well. So you can drink it or bathe in it. And there will be more. The prediction was that there will be, before this age is over, the next 2,200 years, there will be 777 healing water wells discovered around the world by different people. It'll be discovered accidentally when the timing is right, according to the masters. And they will discover all of these wells, and they will be part of the main healthcare for humanity, because apparently this water greatly increases our immune system and helps us fight off things that we've had that our body hasn't been able to fight, that medications haven't been able to heal. So it's a real miraculous gift to humanity.
And Dick, who made that prediction about the 777 wells that will eventually be discovered?
Maitreya.
Maitreya. Okay.
Maitreya, the leader of the masters, the head of the masters. His name is, in Sanskrit, means the happy one, the one who brings joy. He talked to a couple reporters, news people in England. That's his base of operations, London, England. But he appears all around the world when he wants to, when he needs to. And we will soon see him on television. We'll talk about that. But he talked to a couple of reporters and gave a lot of predictions that would happen. And so far, they've all happened. Even in the height of her power, he predicted that in England, what was her name? Sorry, I can't think of her name.
Who are you thinking of?
The woman who was the head of England and then was kicked out of office. She resigned.
Maggie Thatcher?
Thatcher. Yeah, he predicted that she would leave office in disgrace way before it happened. And those are just some of the predictions that he made, all of which are coming true. We have another miracle here, Sabina.
Right, the white buffalo. This is a Native American prophecy that when a white buffalo is born, it's the sign of a great teacher coming. And now, because of copyright issues, we cannot show many things visually. We can't show photos, but there are photos if you're interested. You can just Google this on the internet, look it up on your search engine, and you'll see pictures of the white buffalo. It's a very rare occurrence. So,
Yeah.
so that's why.
1 in about 6 million are born white. And we know there's not many buffalo left on the planet. So, I mean, this is a real miracle when this white buffalo calf was born. I think it was in South Dakota, US. And then like 2 years later, another white buffalo calf was born. So, I mean, that's just absolute proof that this is a miraculous occurrence and that it is there for the Native Americans' tradition.
And we had a comment from a viewer about spiritualized water, about the water you were just talking about, Dick.
Oh, good.
Yeah, converting mass to light energy. And we did want to mention that, and it slipped my mind that when we talk about these miracles, we use the word miracle to denote something that we currently, Derek made that comment. Thank you, Derek, for bringing that up, because that was something we wanted to mention. We use the word miracles to talk about something that we currently cannot explain with our level of understanding as it is at this time. However, we do know from, for example, from the theory of relativity that mass and energy are interchangeable. If you speed up mass or matter enough, it is the same thing as energy or light. And so that's one way of understanding these wells and the water in the wells, that the water has been made lighter, like it has a lighter molecular weight, it weighs less, and it's qualitatively different. So many of, well, as we go through talking about these miracles, I think that's just interesting to keep in mind that I'm sure at some point in the future, we will be able to explain each and every one of these in terms of what's actually taking place at a molecular, atomic, subatomic level. Once we have the capacity, we understand all of this when our understanding deepens. Right now, we're not there yet, but it will come.
Right. Science, the Ageless Wisdom says that science and spirituality, science and religion will start coming together more and more and more in the future. And what these miracles are just science we don't understand yet. And so as our science develops, we will start to understand. See, the masters of wisdom, these great spiritual beings in our spiritual kingdom, they're the master scientists. They understand all of the workings of energy. And we know that everything is energy. We know that in a concrete block, there are electrons spinning around the nucleus of atoms. In that, it's vibrating at a very low rate. Water vibrates higher, gases vibrate higher, but everything is vibrating, everything is energy. And these are just events that our science can't explain yet, but we will. Yeah, the white buffalo calf, an amazing miracle. You know, there's another one that isn't listed here, and that's the red heifer for the Jewish nation, the Jewish people. There's a prediction, a prophecy in the Jewish tradition that says that there will be a red heifer, a red calf born with all these different signs, indications of what he looks like, and that has happened.
That's right. And I believe that there are rabbis who have made the comment based on that event and on the birth of this heifer, that this shows that a great teacher is here or is about to emerge.
Exactly. Right. So the Messiah. So there are miracles in every religious tradition, and then there are those outside of religion. This girl over in the Middle East cries glass shards from her eye. Now, her eyes, and they actually can see the little chunks of glass coming out of her eyes. And they've looked at it, and it's glass, but she isn't deaf.
And glass with very sharp edges. I mean, yes. They're not round pebble type shapes, right?
No. So the miracle is twofold. Number one, she's crying glass. And number two, it doesn't cut her.
Yeah, that's
right. These are just wonderful things that are signs that there's a lot of stuff we don't understand, that good is happening in the world and is going to continue.
And you can find images of the girl and articles about her on the internet. I believe, I believe she's from Lebanon. I think that's where it took place.
Good.
And, you know, just to go back to what you were saying about levels of vibration, like the difference between solid matter, liquid, gas, in the Ageless Wisdom teachings, what is also talked about are the etheric levels of matter. So this is also matter, but it's finer than gas. And according to the Ageless Wisdom teachings, there are 4 levels of etheric matter, each one finer than the last. And this is something that scientists are starting to be able to perceive. They call it dark matter, but they're starting to see these finer levels. And as that ability to perceive and measure and just be aware of and relate to these other levels of matter, which are, for most people, invisible, this is going to change our understanding of so much, because there's so much going on in those levels that we can't perceive. Now, there are some people, Benjamin Creme has talked about this, there are people who have what is called etheric vision. And what this means is they do see those levels of matter. But I believe there are not many people. It's a rare thing.
Right. The people who see auras, that's the beginning of etheric vision. Right. Seeing an aura. So that gives you an example of what we're talking about. It's not available to the normal human eye, to the average human eye. But we will all gain etheric vision as time goes on, and we will see this physical matter that we're not seeing now.
But you know, in the foreword to his very first book, Benjamin Creme describes how, as a small child, before he went to school, he used to look out the window and watch the wind. He called it the wind. What he later realized was he was actually seeing etheric matter. And once he got to school and he talked about the fact that he could see the wind, the teachers said, no, that's not possible. You can't see the wind. And so he said that he actually forgot that he could see it. He unlearned it. It was as though that skill just disappeared because he was told, no, that's not possible. So there may be people who are born able to see etheric matter, but are sort of educated out of it, you know?
Sure. Like the child that says, Mom, how come grandma is purple? You know, the child is seeing grandma's aura, but mom can't see it. And mom says, oh, come on, that dress she has on is orange. You know, it's not purple. You know, then so we unlearn it. Yeah, Benjamin Creme said that he wasn't seeing the effect of the wind. He was seeing the actual wind. Yeah, right. It was really an interesting thing for him to share with us. So he was kind of talked out of that, like others are, you know.
Right.
Okay.
And Dick, you mentioned religious miracles as well, right?
For the faithful, there will be signs. Yes, absolutely. That's what Maitreya said. He said, there will be signs for the faithful to encourage you and give you hope if you are open to seeing them. And I mean, they've been all over. Now we're talking the last 30 years, really, that these miracles have been just all appearing all around the world. A lot of them in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. And the media doesn't have any answer. You know, they see a miracle and they go to a Catholic priest or somebody, some church or rabbi, and they want to have, well, the priest doesn't have an answer. The church can't confirm it's a miracle. So then they don't print it. They don't publish it. They don't show it on the news, and so on. Well, now the news media is not the only source of information that we can see. Normal everyday folks are now posting these kinds of things on the internet so that we can all see it and all enjoy it and all start to get some hope. So don't look to the media for the answers. They have shown some of them, but not most.
And I think what's interesting about these miracles, which appeal to or somehow appear within a religious tradition or confirm religious signs or religious meaning for the different faiths. I think what's interesting about them is that Maitreya has said that he's not here to found a new religion, that he's here for everybody, people who have a religion, people who don't have a religion, people who have a belief system about God and people who don't. He's here for everyone. And he specifically has said that if anyone who's happy within their own tradition, their religion or their faith, should continue to grow within that he's not trying to take people out of their religions. So all the religions are included in this great teaching, in the Ageless Wisdom teaching, because really,
important. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it shows that this teaching is not about saying one is right and one is wrong. It's rather, it's integrating everything into a broader understanding that links all these different traditions together and says, really, they are teaching us the same things in different forms, perhaps suited to the time and place in which each religion arose. So, for example, in the New Testament, you have a lot of parables talking about fishing or fish and about sowing seeds in ground, because the people at that time that Jesus was talking to, they were farmers, they were fishermen. So these images would make sense to them. And
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
About every 2,000 years, we get a great teacher. 2,000 years ago was the great teacher Jesus, who taught the love of God. And when he talked about, you just said it,
fishermen?
The fisherman, yes. He knew he was the teacher for the age of Pisces. He knew that. And of course, the age-old symbol for Pisces are the fish. And so there's all these these fish analogies in the Christian Bible. I'll make you fishers of men. He fed the crowd with fish, and so on. And that's no accident. That's because he was the teacher for the age of Pisces. Yeah, good point, Sabina.
Yeah, and so talking about Christ, here's a first photo that we can show because it's copyright. We have the right, or it's copyright free, taken by somebody that you know, Dick, right?
Right. She had several miracles at her house, and so a few of us went out there and talked to her and witnessed them. And one of them was, she gave me this photo that she took of Christ in the clouds. And there have been so many of these. Just Google Christ in the clouds, and you'll get, most of them show the body in a white robe below a cloud. These were taken by pilots. They were taken by navigators, taken by flight attendants, and taken by passengers over the years out the windows of airplanes. So many of them. They're just, there's a plethora of them out there on the internet. And this is one she took that's a little bit different from them. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful.
Another one of the miracles.
Right. And another miracle within the Christian faith, or that confirms Christian beliefs, are statues, for example, of the Madonna crying or bleeding tears. If you look at this picture we've got up here, you can see sort of reddish brown smudges coming out of her eyes. And so there have been many of these, many, all around the world.
They have x-rayed these statues. They've done everything to see if they can find the source of the blood, and they can't. They've tested the blood, and it is normal human blood without the corpuscles that make it clot. So that just keeps flowing. But otherwise, it's normal human blood. So, and these statues are all around the world that are bleeding of Mary, that are bleeding real human blood. And we understand that this miracle was created by the master who was Mary, the mother of Jesus. And she also has paintings that ooze olive oil. And people can be healed by looking at these statues or by touching the olive oil that is coming off of some of these paintings around the world. There's healing energy in all of this. The masters want us to be healthy. They want us to heal, and they want to show us the miracles of healing.
That's right. They have nothing but goodwill towards us.
Right.
That's right. And there are other Marian miracles or miracles of Mary, images on film, again, photographs taken in various different places, especially out of the windows of airplanes. And also images of Mary appearing on buildings. And perhaps the most well-known of those is the appearance of the Virgin Mary on a bank building in Florida. And I think there's even footage on the internet that you can find.
It's in Clearwater, Florida. Yeah, just Google the Mary image in Clearwater, Florida. That's one word, Clearwater. And it's on a four-story tall glass building. And one of the sections of the building is nothing but a Technicolor image of Mary. I mean, you look at it and it can't be anything else. And the owner of the building has cleared off part of the parking lot. There was a line for 7 miles in every direction of people, once this got on CNN, of people trying to get there to see this and to pray for people and so on. So the owner set off part of the parking lot, fenced it off, so that people could come with their candles and their pictures and pray in the presence of this wonderful image. It happened right before Christmas, which is another interesting thing. And as I understand it, it's still there, and it can even be seen at night. And so this was a world, everybody knew about this, and people were coming from all over. There were traffic jams trying to get into the parking lot or to see this image in Florida. You're right. Other images of Mary, I've seen this, where a person took a picture. They were on a trip in the United States. Then they stopped for a break and they saw this beautiful rose bush. They took a picture of it. And this was back in the days of film. And when the film was developed, in front of the rose bush was a color image of Mary standing there with beads around her neck. And two people took different photos that when developed showed Mary standing there. And there's a statue of Mary that actually moves. It's in a grotto, and it actually comes out of the grotto and then goes back in. Wonderful, wonderful miracle.
Where is that, Dick? The grotto?
What? I don't remember. I think it's in Europe. And it's up on the side of a hill. It's really hard to get up to the grotto, so people see it from below. And they see the statue come out, and then they see it go back. Yeah, it's really cool. Unimaginable events, like we said at the outset, that are happening. It's science that we don't understand yet, but the masters are the masters of energy. They work with energy, all different levels, all different kinds of energy, electricity, heat energy, spiritual energy, and they work with all these energies and create these wonderful miracles to give us hope.
And you know what's interesting to me is that the people, I watched footage about the appearance of Mary, the image of Mother Mary on the side of the bank building in Clearwater, Florida. And what was really striking to me was that the people who came to see this were people who all experienced it as a sign of hope, as you're saying, as a sign to keep the faith. And the heart response of people is so, it's so beautiful, and it's so clear. They don't doubt. They experience it. They're open, so they actually experience what's happening there, and it's a very powerful thing to witness. So I recommend, if you're interested, to look for that clip on the internet.
That's an ABC. There was an ABC News story on television that showed all that, and they interviewed the building owner and so on. Really a wonderful segment. I'm sure it's on, probably on YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also wanted to talk about crosses of light. These even armed crosses, so they're not like the traditional Christian cross, which the vertical part is longer than the horizontal, but they're even armed. They're the same length vertically and horizontally, but many of these have appeared all over the world. You can see them in so many places. We are showing just a few images here, which we can show with copyright. No problem with copyright here. I think the one on the left there, that's from Russia. The one in the middle, I'm not sure where that is from. But you can also find many of these on the internet.
The one in the middle is from the church in Knoxville, Tennessee. There's a very small church with 4 windows, 4 big windows. And they, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they were looking out the window one day, and there were crosses like this in each of the windows, big golden crosses, 40 feet high, stretching out over the parking lot. But you couldn't see them from outside. You could only see them from inside. And if you look at the one on the left here, you'll see that square in the middle. This is on dimpled glass, the kind of glass that they put in bathrooms so you can't see in the person's window. And the dimpled glass, if you put a flashlight or a candle behind it, will show a square, just like that square. That's the normal image you get from dimpled glass. When the glass, according to Benjamin Creme and his master, has been blessed by Maitreya, when the glass has been blessed, it changes to a cross, an even armed cross like these shown here. And that indicates that the blessing has been given to that building and to that area and the people in that area. And it happened in this church, the only church I know of that got crosses of light in the window. And man, people came from miles around. They had to pave the parking lot. It was a little poor church, you know, and they paved the parking lot. People came from all over to come inside and see these crosses of light. One woman had cancer of the brain, had a tumor. And she drove all the way there to see the cross. Well, it was at night. By the time she got there, it was at night. But she finally crawled up onto the edge of the stones on the side of the building and looked from one window through the other. And in the other window, she saw a cross of light. When she came home, she went back to the doctors and they couldn't find the tumor. The cancer was gone and they can't explain it. So there have been many healings in front of these crosses of light.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm realizing that it's time for us to go to the end of the show. And that means we're about halfway through right now. So we'll come back and finish this presentation on miracles the next time that you're on, Dick. But right now, I think we'll jump ahead because we want to go to meditation, but we want to talk about the Day of Declaration, right?
Right. And as you jump ahead, I just want to say, if you have dimpled glass in your bathroom, have somebody go outside and shine a flashlight on the glass and see if you see a cross or a square. If you see a cross, it's been blessed. The apartment building I lived in had been blessed with windows, and I had crosses of light in my windows. Okay, the Day of Declaration is about Maitreya, the world teacher. We told you we would tell you more about how you're going to see him, and this is it. He is going to appear on worldwide radio and television. This is his plan, hooked up by satellite, so he can appear to the whole world. That's how all eyes will see, all ears will hear. Even workers in the field will hear him speak in whatever your native language is. That's the language you'll hear him speak in, telepathically. And so anybody over the age of 14 will hear him. And if you have television, you'll see him when he addresses the world. And he's going to do that. And Sabina, go ahead and tell him. We can tell you there are ways you will know it's him and not just somebody else speaking on television.
Well, you've already mentioned that we'll hear him telepathically, but we'll also feel the love. Well, we describe it as the love of God, but it's just the energy of love, pure love. We'll feel it as, and he has said it'll be as though we are experiencing him being embraced. It'll be such a powerful feeling of love. I think Benjamin Creme has said that we will feel as though we're being embraced, hugged, held. And also thousands of people will be healed miraculously during the time that Maitreya speaks to us. And so it's an amazing combination of signs. I find the fact that we'll hear him telepathically really powerful, because Benjamin Creme has said that when we watch him, if we're watching on a TV or on the internet, we'll see Maitreya speaking, but no sound will come out of the TV or the internet. There'll be no
his mouth
sound.
won't move.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we'll hear his
very
voice,
strange experience.
right? Yeah.
Very strange experience, because his mouth won't be moving, but you'll be hearing him. You'll be looking at each other like, are you hearing? I'm hearing him. Are you? It'll be a very, very unique experience you'll never forget. And then you'll feel the love of God like you've never felt it before in your life. Like Sabina said, he said, it will be so powerful, it will be as if I physically embrace you. And then the media will announce hundreds of thousands of healings around the world, miraculous healings, after he's done speaking. And it will be a very personal experience. Yeah.
Right. And he's going to present us with a choice, essentially. He's going to say, we can decide to start sharing the world's resources and to change the way that we run things, or not, that we have free will. But he says he knows we are going to choose the way of sharing, that people are ready for that the heart of people is good. We are essentially good. That goodness is part of us. It's what we are. And so he says he knows our choice already. And Benjamin Creme has said that Maitreya knows at least 2 billion people are ready to respond. And that is more than the critical mass needed to begin changes. There will be people who, of course, won't want to have those changes occur, but they will be in the minority.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, it will be a very personal experience. Nobody's going to tell you what to experience. You probably won't be able to explain it afterwards, but he is going to help us in our mind's eye. We're going to see the past, he said. We're going to see where we lost our way as a human race, where we got off the path. And then to inspire us to action, he's going to show us the wonderful, beautiful, loving, free, sharing, just future that's in store for humanity. And he will give us a glimpse of that wonderful world that we're going to be initiating, that we're going to be starting if we follow his suggestions. He's going to make suggestions. He's not going to make anybody do anything. He's not going to wave a magic wand and make everything okay. He can't do that, because according to the law of karma, he didn't make the mess. We made it, so we have to clean it up. He's going to give us suggestions about how to change life on this planet so that it supports us in being healthy and sufficient and happy and loving and working together cooperatively. So it's a real opportunity for humanity. And about a third of the people will say, look out, Antichrist, or whatever they say. About a third of the people will take a wait and see attitude. And about a third of the people, the ones that are going to help change the world, these 2 million, will jump in and say, you know, these suggestions make sense. I think I want to follow them. And that's what he's going to do, just make suggestions. He and the rest of the masters. And so this is our opportunity to start turning this world around. I believe that my parents were here to save the world in World War II. And they did. Women left their jobs, went to work in factories. You know, everybody gave up a lot to save the world. I think we're here for this purpose, to help start turning the world around. And that's going to begin in the basic areas of Maitreya's priorities which are healthcare for everybody, housing for everybody, education for everybody, and food for everybody, as human rights, and ending this problem of pollution.
And this idea that people are ready to respond, I think we can already see it. We see the people who are responding to these ideas. We see people who are clamoring for change, who are organizing and protesting. So even before this day of declaration, we see people who are prepared, who are ready, and who are taking action. And I think all of that points to the fact that we, the human race, are ready to make these changes. We recognize the need for it. I think
And we suggest that you join the parade and be at the head of the parade instead of one of the last ones joining in to try and help turn the world around. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, but first or last, just being part of it, I think, is important. Yeah. And we have a short video we'd like to play just before we go on to talk about meditation and begin the meditation.
This is Benjamin Creme.
Millions are suffering from a global economic collapse.
The sound isn't right. There's no sound.
Sorry, Dick, did you say there's no sound?
Right.
Okay, let's see, I think I'm gonna have to. Okay, I think what we'll do, we'll watch it next time because I can't change the settings right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll just go to talking about meditation.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see if I can do this. All right, and we wanted to also say that there are books that are available for free download. One on the meditation that we're going to do in a few minutes. And you can find these books here on share-ecart.com, also on share-international.org. And you can watch videos of Benjamin Creme speaking on the Share International channel on YouTube. And lots of information there. As we said before, we get our information from Benjamin Creme. And so these are the websites where you can find him speaking and find this information if you want to look at it yourself. There's also a magazine called Share International, which talks about the very same things, information about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, as well as information about current events, what's happening in the world and how that relates to what we're talking about, the return of the Masters of Wisdom to the world. And now we'd like to talk about transmission meditation, which we're going to do shortly. Dick, do you want to say a few words?
Transmission meditation was introduced to the world. Benjamin Creme was asked if he would be willing to do it, and he said yes. So along with telling the world about the world teacher Maitreya and the masters coming openly to walk in physical bodies amongst us again, which is going to happen very soon, my best guess, nothing official, my best guess in the next 3 years, we will see the masters and they will start working openly with humanity. The other thing that he taught was transmission meditation. It's a group meditation. It's not an individual meditation. It's a group meditation. 3 people are a group, and it is twofold. Number one, it's a way of serving the world. And number two, it's a way of dramatically enhancing your own personal spiritual growth.
And it's something that is always done in groups of 3 or more. Anyone over the age of 12 can do this meditation. It's extremely easy. There's no technical requirements in terms of previous training or special poses. People in the West do this meditation sitting in chairs. Of course, if you want to sit on the floor, you can, but it's that easy. You just sit down. And in terms of technique, the only thing we do is we start the meditation by saying a mantra together called the Great Invocation, and then we all keep our attention here on the Ajna Center. However, it is a normal thing that your attention will wander. It'll go away. When you notice that that's happened, you say Om mentally to bring it back. And that's as complicated as it gets. It's really that simple.
Yeah, don't chant Om, just think Om, and it'll bring your attention to the Ajna Center between the eyebrows. That's where you want to focus when you do transmission meditation. The reason it's so powerful is because in normal meditation, we're receiving the energy of our soul. In transmission meditation, we're receiving energy from the masters of our spiritual kingdom. They know where the groups meet on a same day, same time, every week or 2 times a week or whatever, for an hour or more. And they know where the groups are. And then when you say the Great Invocation, it invokes them, it gets their attention, and they start sending their energy through the group. And what they do, they send it through our chakras to step it down so that it can be more easily absorbed by humanity. And then they send it out in the world, wherever it's needed. Now, there are many energies, the energy of love, the energy of peace, the energy of equilibrium. All these different energies can be sent out. We don't know which energy they're sending, so we don't try to send them anywhere because we don't know where it's needed. Let the master scientists send the energy through your chakras and out into the world wherever it's needed. That's how you serve the world. And by going through our chakras, that's how we grow. Benjamin Crumb called it a hothouse of spiritual energy, transmission meditation. He said that in 1 year of good transmission meditation, focused as best you can, you will receive the spiritual growth equal to 10 to 15 years of any other meditation. So it is very powerful. And the main thing you do is you serve the world. You help the masters serve the world by doing it.
And we just like to add that you don't need to believe in anything to do this meditation. You don't have to, you don't have to believe in the meditation. You don't have to believe in energy or in Maitreya or the masters. Just try it and see if you like it, because it'll work regardless of your beliefs.
It's like gravity. You don't have to believe in gravity. It just works. Well, so does this.
That's right. And the other thing we like to mention is that during this time of pandemic, people have found new ways to connect for doing this meditation, as well as all the other ways they found to connect for all the different activities that we normally do or did. So since we can't go and meet each other in each other's homes or a bookstore or a library to do the meditation together, now people are using Zoom to connect across distances and meditate together. And so I think the chat host will have put links in the chat that you can use to connect with these groups. If you'd like to try this meditation after today, you can join with any of these Zoom groups that you're interested in if their schedule fits with yours. So it's a really great opportunity. And of course, you can also start your own group. Never forget, it only requires 3 people. So it's a very easy thing to do. You could perhaps have a group in your own home. Yeah.
And you can link up mentally. You don't need Zoom. Zoom is easier because what you do, you link up mentally and you visualize the other people in your group, however many they are, who they are, sitting, in their home or wherever, meditating with you, and you visualize them, and you can link up mentally without Zoom. It's a little easier to visualize them if you can see them on Zoom, but you don't need Zoom to do it. You want to sit with your spine straight, just like that said, so that you're not slouched down, and don't lay down because you'll go to sleep. At least that's what happened to me. So you want to sit up with your spine straight so your chakras are lined up. And then you say the Great Invocation, and then you think Om to bring your attention here. Silently, internally, think Om, don't chant it. It's a higher energy if you think it rather than chanting it. You think Om, and then when your attention drops, you'll know, because all of a sudden, even though your eyes will be closed, you'll be looking at the floor. or your head will drop down. That means your attention has dropped to your solar plexus and it's time to think Om a couple times. Om. The O activates the throat and ajna, the throat and the heart center. And the M activates the ajna center and the crown center at the top of the head. Om. You think it a couple times, and with practice, it'll bring your attention right back to the ajna center. Don't focus in the middle of your forehead. Focus between the eyebrows. That's where the ajna center is.
Yeah, it's lower down. That's right. And the Great Invocation is a great mantra, and it's been translated into most of the languages of the world. There are transmission groups all over the world. There's probably a transmission group meditating at every moment during any 24 hours because of all the different time zones. So if English isn't your language and you'd like to have this in a different language, you can find it. If you go to share-international.org, I believe there you can find translations of the Great Invocation.
Good point.
Yeah. And so I guess we can go ahead and start. I'll set my timer to half an hour. And would you like to read the Great Invocation, Dick?
Be my pleasure. Now we pause after each paragraph because there's a visualization that is recommended after each paragraph. You'll read about the visualization when you read the transmission meditation book that's free to download. So we won't go into the visualization right now. Now you say it in, like you say a mantra, kind of in a sing-songy way, so that the energy of the words and the sound creates the desired effect. And I will try to illustrate that as best I can as I read.
And what we'll do, I just wanted to say I'll mute out, but I'll also be saying it out loud. So everybody join in and say it wherever you are so that we're saying it together.
If you want.
And I just want to say we'll come back on after 30 minutes and say goodbye. But right now, I just want to say once again, Dick, it was a pleasure to have you. And we'll be back to finish talking about miracles and to talk about more miracles in about 4 weeks.
Right, and I look forward to it. It's a great topic, and we've got more to talk about, more miracles to talk about and show people. So we're going to say this great invocation, and whatever you experience during the transmission meditation is personal. And you may not experience much of anything. You may just feel energy pressing down the top of your head or around your head like a sweatband. There are different ways that people feel the energy. Some get a tickle in their throat chakra. Any of those is fine. And if you don't get any, that's okay too. Just try to stay focused as best you can during the half hour and see what you think. You might even receive a healing. All right, here we go. Ready? Sitting up straight, eyes straight ahead. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.
Well, that was 30 minutes of transmission meditation. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we'd like to thank our tech crew, John in Birmingham, Alabama, Sia Lito in Seattle, Washington. And join us again for next week's show, Meditation Mandalas, the universal message behind esoteric art. And I'll be back with Dick in a few weeks, and we'll continue talking about miracles. Thank you, Dick, for being here. You're muted right now. Dick, you're muted. We can't hear you.
It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Sabina. I probably talked too much, and I know I interrupted you a few times, and I apologize. I'm working on becoming a better broadcast partner for you.
No worries. It was all good. Thanks, everybody. See you again next time. Bye-bye.